What's going on, Johans?
I'm all right. How's it going, Michael?
It's going well. Wanted to huddle with you today. I know we are celebrating you hitting 10K with your business, and wanted to congratulate you first on such a great accomplishment, and wanted to just ask you a few questions about your journey.
Awesome. Sounds good. Ready when you are.
Cool. So why don't you kind of wind the clock back here for when you first started? How maybe you can describe to us like what went into you making a decision like this, and maybe walk us through those initial stages of like getting into this, and then like those early days of like growing the business.
Yeah, sure. So I started off I graduated from college, and I started off as a project manager at a construction company. And, when you're new, they put you in charge of like the non-technical stuff. So I was in charge of the cleaning scopes on the project. So it was for like a multifamily contractor, and after a unit's done, you do three phases of cleaning. It was the final, not the final, the rough clean, the final clean, and then the powder puff clean. And then I used to have to basically coordinate the schedules for the cleaners. And one day they made the mistake of making me see exactly how much the cleaning contract was for, like how much it cost, like just how much how much it cost. And I was just like, wow, like this, it was damn near $800,000. And the cleaners on the job weren't like super technical. Like I was the one walking around with the checklists and basically organizing their schedules. And I was getting paid my 70K, 65K, whatever salary. And
Yeah.
then at the end of the day, the owner of the business was walking away with, 800,000 bucks. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't fair because I'm doing the owner's work. Yeah, they'd be there at the foreman's meetings and stuff, but I'd be like, hey, like your cleaners are messing up in these areas. This is where we need to improve. And then I eventually left that job because we all know construction is pretty stressful. And then I was like, all right, what am I going to do next? And then I was on Twitter and I came across the course, and it's just been love ever since between Michael and I.
Don't say that, Johans. Come on now.
Okay, okay.
I'm just joking. Well, cool, man. That's interesting that you kind of had a firsthand experience. I don't even think we actually had a formal conversation about that, but that's interesting.
Oh yeah.
What Why don't you, I guess, like, obviously you hit 10K. Why don't you walk us through, like, hey, were there any like breakthrough moments in that journey to this point that kind of unlocked growth for you, or a realization that you had that was important to the success?
Yeah, sure. So can I talk about like my service area? Is that like
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much?
absolutely. Whatever you'd like, man.
Sure. So I believe over the past 10 or 15 years in my service area is the DMV, that's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I've So as I said, I used to work in construction, and I think of myself as pretty observant. So I always, like, anywhere you go in the city over the last 10 to 15 years, there's always new construction going on. And I just had an idea to, after I saw the price of the contracts for cleaning, I was like, okay, well, should I go into the commercial space or the residential space? And so what I read up about the commercial space is that, sometimes they want you to have a bit of tenure or rather experience doing cleaning. And then, it just so happened that I stumbled upon the course on Twitter. And, so Michael was super smart and he told me exactly how to start it up. And I watched all the courses and everything. But what exactly jolted me into the residential cleaning space was just the fact that, there are a lot of cleaners, there are a lot of cleaning companies in the city, but they're not good at scheduling. They're not good at a commitment to service. They're not good at QA/QC after the clean. So, obviously I hadn't done much cleaning myself in my life apart from like my own room, or, if I had to clean a unit myself for at the job. So I was just like, hey, like this is a great opportunity. I can go in here, I can provide some order, I can optimize it, I can have a great review process, great hiring process without doing any of the cleaning myself. Basically just pulling the strings from behind and making sure everything runs efficiently, which people pay top dollar for. Like a lot of these cleaning services in DC, a lot of complaints I get, because I always ask, like, have you used a cleaning service before? And if not, what do you not like? And 90% of the time, it's like, oh, the cleaners are flaky. They do a great job, but the organization isn't there. So I think that's the main thing that jolted me to come into this space and just, provide some order to a lot of the great cleaners that are already in the city.
Awesome. That's a great insight there. Appreciate you sharing that. From your perspective, like program wise, what did you find most valuable about GCP?
Most valuable. So I have notifications on for my personal email on my phone. And like maybe I get an email from Michael about 4 times a week. Like he's always uploading like a new course or like a module to watch, always refining things. Like, and that's what I like to. I feel like a lot of people who sell courses, they just make the course and then just roll it out and never touch it again and just collect money. But there's there's always a commitment from Michael to like, keep things fresh, keep things updated. I remember I almost missed the biennial. Like there's a fee you have to pay every 2 years if you own a business, especially in DC. And if you miss that, they tax you like a lot of money for every day you're late. And so those reminders are super important. So I think that's the most valuable thing. The course, the material is always being updated, and you always get reminders about important things that you got to stay on top of.
Okay. Appreciate that. And why don't you kind of maybe paint the picture for how you view the business now that you're kind of at 10K? Where do you see the business going from here? How do you want this business to grow?
That's a great question. So I started the business about a year ago, and I remember it took me about 2 months to actually get my first client. And I remember how happy, I don't think there was any point where I was happier. Like obviously we just hit 10K, but I think that first client was like the happiest I had ever been throughout the life cycle of the business. So now that we're at 10K, okay, so I was talking about the first client that I had, and then it took me a year to get to 5K per month, and then it took me about 2 months to get to 10K. So with regards to where the business is going, I'm honestly hoping to finish the year at hopefully 20 to 30K per month. I think I can reliably add 2K in recurring revenue for the rest of the year, whatever that math is. It's not much point, but I think that's where I want to go. And sorry, was that all the question was? Was there another part of the
No,
question?
just like how you're viewing it, long term essentially. So it sounds like you kind of have some new revenue targets now that you're here and wanting to go further. And I think another thing that I forgot to mention was you haven't spent $1 on paid ads. Is that correct?
Well, I experimented
near zero lately.
I think the most I've spent over the whole year and some months was maybe like less than $500. And I think it's I think it's ignorance. Like I mainly do like business cards, and those are like $10 for like 100 at Staples. And the ROI on that isn't even that high either. I think it's just like optimizing reviews, telling my close friends and people about it, and having a great referral program. I think that's worked really well for me. But to answer your question about how the business has changed now that we're at 10K, now my SOPs have to be flawless. Like I have to follow the instructions as to how hiring works, as to my QA QC process. Like there's a much more of an emphasis on that. Otherwise, the wheels will fall off if I don't have like a set structure to follow. So yeah.
Totally. Cool. So appreciate that. Last question here, Yoetz. If someone is on the fence about doing something like this, what would you tell them?
Just do it. You don't have much to lose. It's super low startup costs. You just got to give it time. Every market's a bit different, so give it time and try different things. And eventually, I mean, most people in this program hit 10K within like 30 days or 90 days. I hit it in like a year and some months. So, sometimes it's a war of attrition. You got to keep going, but you will do it. Oftentimes in business, all you have to do is stick with it. I wouldn't say do the bare minimum, but just stick with it and try different things, and eventually you'll hit your goals. So just start. That's the biggest piece of advice. Just start.
Okay, man. Well, listen, that's a good piece of advice, and congratulations on hitting 10K, and obviously look forward to everything to come too.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Johannes. Take care.
All righty.